Welcome back to Classic Games Done Quick. I'm your host, SmoothOperative, and we have a really exciting race coming up, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, with the original racers, romscout and RaneofSOTN. So take it away.
What's up, guys? So we decided originally on the Classic Games Done Quick schedule. Rain of Soten was actually supposed to run it by himself, but he was kind enough to teach me the run the day before, and we ended up turning it into a race. But we'll get more to that story later. We have the world record holder at the time on commentary for us as well right now. That's Satoryu.
Yep.
So,
Hi, everyone.
Let's just I think get right into it. Go ahead and give us the countdown, Satori.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Cool. So, yeah, as I was saying before, back then there were probably like 50 things that happened with this run that you would never see at a GDQ now, such as getting added onto the schedule last second. But yeah, just for reference of how different the run is now compared to what we did back then. Satori's record at the time was 34 minutes and 34 seconds, and currently it stands at 16 minutes and 42 seconds. So
I'm still hoping for the one day we get to 16:26.
Oh, it'll happen. Don't worry about that.
I mean, to be fair, my run was also had the no out of bound out to it too.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was a matter of the route being optimized a lot more. Like the skill level of that run at the time seemed untouchable, so it was pretty incredible. And also on a PlayStation, something that's changed with the community over the years is that they used to run the PlayStation version, and then I'd say probably within the year or two after this, we all switched to the Xbox version because of faster loading. So.
I'm surprised it took that long, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not just the loading, it's the fact that you don't have the massive lag at the end of bosses. Man, zombies are not being nice to me.
Yeah, so I think Satori, if you want to explain the death skip coming up.
All right, so what they're gonna do here is level up at a certain point on the map, and they will cast a.
Ooh, I missed it. Oh, well, I'll keep going.
Yeah, they will level up.
You missed it too? Or even
on a certain point of the map, and it will kind of and then backdash out of it, which will kind of mess up Alucard's positioning on the map, so that when they go through the rune transition, instead of Alucard appearing, in this case, on the left side of the map where he normally would, he appears on the right side, and just instantly consequently go into the next room afterwards, skipping the death cutscene, which takes away all of his OP starting equipment. And that tech is called a reverse shift line.
Yeah, so based on what just happened, Rain should be building a pretty significant lead on me early on here.
Yeah, because Rom missed it. Not only does he lose all that equipment, I mean, obviously a strong sword like the Alucard sword, but also he had to wait to get another shield back. And I guess we could talk about shield dashing a little bit.
Yeah.
You backdash, and you can cancel the backdash into pulling out your shield, and then you can cancel the shield into another backdash. It lets you go much faster than just walking forward.
I'm through S&G.
All right.
Yeah, it would be hard for Rom to get the optimal kill, obviously. So they had to pull out the Tetra Spirit stuff. And a little time saver there would be to kill Slagra and Gaibon at the exact same time, just to avoid level up screens. But again, Rom didn't have the Alucard sword, so that would have been tough. What we're all doing over here is there's kind of a buffer for the first several minutes of the run because of the clock rush, where this big clock room where you first meet Maria, the door on the upper left opens and closes every other minute of in-game time. And so we want to look to get to this room before 9 minutes pass. At 9 minutes would be the first time you would see the door close again. So any time before then would be good. Ideally, we would want to get there, you know, right as it hits 8 minutes, so that it's already open instead of opening.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for reference of like what our expectations were back when we did the race. I think either of us hit sub 10 minutes on the clock rush.
Yeah, that was real bad back then. Mostly because PlayStation loading times kind of didn't help out a lot.
That's true.
Yep,
And, like,
the
I
load
don't think
times
we-
do count.
And then, like, the other little thing is there's little things you can do to pick up speed. Like, landing from, like, a long fall gives you a little pause, but you can do several things to kind of get yourself out of that. And, like, there's if you pull out your shield at the right time, stop the animation at all, and then just keep moving. You can also hop out of it, but hopping slower than that. So there's, like just little optimizations over the years have happened, which has made it easier and easier. I think at one point romscout to prove that shield dashing wasn't the only thing that mattered was he did it without shield dashing and still managed to get a sub 9 clock.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can almost sub 8 on the Xbox version with that.
Yeah. And it's all about just minimizing level ups because that obviously pauses you and kind of not taking hits, just playing really well. Like, that's the important part of this early game. And Medusas are not liking me.
So for a little, going back to the original run that we did of this for CGDQ, so maybe like, I want to say like 2 months before I did a stream of playing this game for the first time, and then I watched the speedrun after that, and I had already been speedrunning by that time. Like, I had signed up, I think, to do Super Mario RPG at the original Classic Games Done Quick. And so I watched the Toryu's run, and I was just completely blown away because, like, shield dashing is obviously very flashy. Like, there's a bunch of tricks that I thought looked impossible. But I did try a few of them and could, like, do it semi-consistently. And then when we got to Classic Games Done Quick, Rane decided to, like, actually teach me the full route. And then in watching him practice and, like, me being able to, like, start doing the tricks, that we just decided we'd make it a race. Like, a very impromptu decision. And I think my first run of the game really, like, in full was that night, so we could get a clear file and just be able to skip the cutscenes. And then my first timed run of it was actually our race.
Yep. I hate flea men sometimes.
Oh yeah, those flea men are very annoying, especially before we had the Alucard sword to deal with them. As you'll see from Rom, he has to punch them or just avoid them.
Oops.
And sometimes they don't want you to avoid them. So Clock Rush is complete. Notice that they transform into a wolf and back, and that gives them the ability to dive kick. So that's so they use that to get into Aurochs's quarters early. It's just a weird quirk in the programming. When you talk to Iga, did he even know about that quirk?
I don't think so. I mean, he probably considered it a possibility, but just didn't like equate it to a routing potential.
Oh yeah, Rom's gonna have fun with Werewolf and Minotaur. Isn't he?
Yeah, I still know how to do it close. It's fun.
Yeah, Rane will have a much easier time with Minotaur and Werewolf because the Alucard sword is very strong.
I had really bad strength luck though. He started to back up. Ooh, let's do a summon spirit there.
Tetra Spirit strats, that's a fun one. Yeah, so this is pretty much what we did back then. Tetra Spirit wasn't involved. At some point, maybe Soul Steel was.
Uh-oh.
But no, it was just punch the Werewolf until he dies. Maybe equip the Shield Rod if he decides to up his footsie game a bit.
Okay, thank God. Rom, I accidentally used the potion and I buffered the kick too soon. Luckily, the book let me up number 2.
I somehow did not use the potion and it let me up. Thank goodness.
So books have notoriously wonky hitboxes because they're actually 3D models, or at least they look it. And so that's by using, again, a dive kick off of them from either wolf form or mist form, you can get up to that area with the fairy card earlier than you're supposed to. And with the fairy card, you can you can interrupt the when the fairy card first shows up, it normally says something to you, and by transitioning into the librarian, you can kind of like skip that, and it creates this glitch where I don't know if some people remember what the Sword Brothers spell does. It's basically the same thing, where it lets you go into the menu while the shop menu is active, and if you have a gem, like in this case they have a garnet, they equip the garnet before they sell it. It underflows, and so if you go to sell the garnet again, you have 255 of it, and garnets sell for 5,000 each, so that's a lot of money. And with that, they buy, notably, I guess the big things there are the Duplicator, Buffalo Stars, and a Mana Prism. Buffalo Stars are a very strong throwable item, which normally would be a one-time use item, but the Duplicator erases that little caveat. And then Mana Prism is used to fully restore MP, and also give a brief window of invincibility when you first use them. And so you could see how the Buffalo Stars just chewed through the Lesser Demon right there. So with that, we get to the bat, Soul of Bat, which the bat has this spell called the Wing Smash, where you fly forward very quick. It is possible to chain inputs together. The input is a 270 from up to forward, while holding jump and then releasing it. You just have to look at the input. It's really weird to actually say out loud.
Actually, the in-game menu presents the input as question mark, then the 270, and then question mark. So
the game doesn't even tell you how to do it.
I love that. It always is so confusing for people for the longest time. And the most notable thing about the Wing Smash is you can hold a direction to kind of angle it, so it's not just a straight movement. You can use it to really...
Yeah, you can angle it up and down and further alter its direction by hitting a slope, where you kind of like stick to the slope as you move along it. So there's lots of movement potential with it. The only problem normally is that it chews through MP, but because we have infinite Mana Prisms, that's not much of a problem anymore.
And then kind of another thing we do is you'll sometimes see us like, as we're in bat, we'll transform into mist and then back into bat. It allows us to kind of get a hold of our position, like, because it lets us just stop the wing smash early or whatever. So it's an important detail.
All right, so the Richter skip. This method of the Richter skip, the one relic, well, one of the wolf relic, one relic. Oh, there's a few ways to skip Richter.
There are probably at least like 5 or 6 ways to skip Richter.
Yeah. So this method it just uses the wolf and doesn't involve any out of bounds. There's a trigger for locking the camera in place to start the fight with Richter, and by doing a specific jump with the wolf, you can kind of like go over the trigger because the wolf's hitbox is actually very small. So if you do it right, the screen doesn't lock, and you're able to just go through like normal, and it just pretends as if Richter has been Shaft's orb has been broken, and you can proceed to the second castle. Now, what Rane did to softlock was he wing smashed into the cutscene, and that kind of obviously the cutscene afterwards has scripted inputs, and because Alucard isn't in the right place he's supposed to be, that could that's problematic.
If you go too far, you go over the jump trigger, so he doesn't jump up. I hit the wing smash I wanted to, but I blanked on skipping text right away, so that's what happened. So Rom's gonna finish out the race. I'm just gonna load my practice file for Richter skip. I'm gonna be different colored, and I'll just go until Rom's done, just because.
All right. So what Rom's doing now, you'll notice he isn't fighting all of the Dracula relic bosses. He had to fight Medusa because she's in the way, but right now he's gonna beeline it right to Dracula, because there is a way to skip the relics by doing another reverse shift line. This time, instead of leveling up, he will use a heart refresh to create it. And by doing that, that means that cuts out like pretty much half the run.
Yeah, I think between actually, just for reference, the current glitchless record is like 32 minutes flat or so. So it cuts it, about half between the Richter skip and this.
Yeah, so he's going to go up to right outside the save room to perform it. And on the right pixel, use a hard refresh and backdash out of it. Again, it will put him on the opposite side of the room, but in this case with the save room, there's a wall there. And you have to, you have to transform into a bat so that you don't fall through the floor again. And then he just wing smashes until he's about the, I forget the the eye mark. It's like the second clock from the middle.
Yeah, it's basically a spot where if you untransform, the momentum will carry you and leave you in Alucard form in the save room, whereas if you stayed in a bat, you would bonk and then zip downward. So that's what you're trying to avoid there.
Die because the guardian there. So that was Shaft. And Dracula is more the same, just a little bit longer. That's how strong these Buffalo Stars are. Specifically, this is Dracula is why we get Buffalo Stars, because Flame Stars are technically stronger than the Buffalo Star, but Dracula has a resistance to fire moves.
I want to call shenanigans on that one. I mean the fire resistance.
Alright, I'm done.
Cool.
Go back whence you came. Trouble the soul of my mother
I mean,
no more.
We're good to whatever. I know I waited there way too long to even be worth waiting for, so.
You have been doomed ever since you lost the ability to love.
Yeah, the first run definitely motivated me to like keep going with this game for as many years as I have. So it's been a lot of fun.
I just want to reference that I think earlier this month I didn't even have a good PB anymore. Like I think my PB was still above 20. I had been talking with Rom and making sure that we were both practice, and my
She
PB
said,
is now
"Do not
somewhere.
hate humans. If you
Yeah,
cannot
I
live with
mean,
them, then at least do them no harm.
Oh, I'm at
For
the
theirs
drag
is
skip, so.
already a hard
yeah,
lot."
so probably
She
like a
also
minute.
said to tell you that
But
she would love you
if
for all of eternity.
you sure?
Lisa, forgive me. Farewell, my son.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you did hold the lead over me for quite a while there. You definitely had your practice coming through.
Oh, my second castle was actually pretty good. I
Alucard,
mean,
I'm glad
I had
you're
a
all
little bit
right.
of stuff, but
I'm sorry.
the fact
It was
that
your
I just
fault you
hit a
had to
drag
thank
skip
your own
almost
father.
perfectly, and
Fear
that
not.
was
I
bothering
had
me
my
for so
own
long.
reasons for
Anyway, yeah,
destroying them.
the biggest thing that I
Must
have
been
to say
painful
is
for
that
you.
it helped me out a lot
Indeed.
when
But you
at
must always
CGDQ
remember
when just
that
talking
the
to Rom,
only thing
because
necessary
I
for
know before that I was
undertaking
nervous about
is
my
for
run
good
not
men
like
to do
having
nothing.
me
I
prepared enough
understand.
and everything. But the
Alucard,
coolest thing about it
what
is
will you do
you got to
now?
remember just having
The
someone
blood that
take
flows from
interest
my
is
veins is good.
huge.
'Twould be
And
best for this world if I were
like
to
even talking
disappear
to
forever.
Satoryu, like other events, it's all
I
been great.
see.
Farewell then.
Yeah, I mean, the community is what keeps all of us still here, even
Alucard,
after the decade we've been doing
Go
this.
after him, Maria?
Absolutely.
no, it's best this
How
way.
many
I
attacks
can't
did
ease this
Dracula get
torment.
off on you?
Someday,
Uh,
perhaps, we will meet again.
3
And
swipes
on that
barely, I
day,
think.
maybe.
Okay.
I see.
I mean, he went a little longer than normal because I didn't
Everyone's
have
waiting for us.
Alucard stuff.
Yes. Let's get
Like
out of here.
the dragon helm, I guess, would be the big thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking a little long. I'm not rolling well, and that's done. But I mean, thank you for having us again. It's always a treat to be near RomScout because he's definitely a cool dude.
Yeah, and we'll both be at AGDQ next week, so.
Yeah, that is
Yep.
coming up soon, isn't it?
Hmm.
Thank you both so much for racing this game for everyone. We will return in a moment with Ghosts and Goblins Any %, so stay tuned.